And welcome to That Mini's Paint Show. Glad to have you guys here. Glad to see everybody checking us out today. We're going to be guested with Matt333 when he gets in. And today we are going to be painting up a gorgeous hill giant today. So if you're in chat and you have questions on anything we're doing, just be sure and type in question in all caps and let us know what your questions are. And that will help us understand what it is you want us to answer for you. Hey, we see Nasaris in chat. I saw a couple other people. I'll answer you guys when you say something. I won't call you out there, but it's definitely good to see all of you there today. In terms of the mini today, we're going to be doing the WizKids Hill Giant, and we're going to be using the Army Painter paints today. It's one of the better ones. Let's see if I can't get this one to focus here today. It's a fantastic miniature. It's quite large. To put it in perspective, here is an unpainted miniature next to it of a human, and you can just see how big it is. He could easily scoop up this human and put it in his big old bag there, so that he's got on his back. I'm definitely excited to get this one done. This is part 2 of painting these up, and so we should be seeing this in 2 parts on YouTube here shortly if you haven't seen it already. I'd like to thank tabletopaudio.com real quick. They provide the music and ambiance for almost every show we do, but in particular, we're going to be playing Battle of the Amazons in the background. So try to imagine your players facing off against this giant in your local tabletop role-playing games of choice. Definitely an exciting option there for you. Let's see here. Any other questions? Nope, we're just going to get right in. We started off with fur brown on his hair. We used leather brown on his bag and his well, I guess you'd call it breeches, as well as his foot wrappings. And we used oak brown on the staff, which we will then later on hit with some stone color for the stone and binding rope for the rope itself. And we're going to put a lot of other color details on. And then we used elf green for this little patch of blanket here that we're going to do a little extra detail on today too. But we got some other patches to go on as well. So this miniature is really interesting, and not only does it have a great deal of detail all over it, but it also has the physical details like the bulging veins in the arms and so on. For the skin tone, we started with tanned flesh, and that worked out pretty good for us as well. And now we're going to probably layer that up with barbarian flesh as a highlight. So please excuse me. I've been ill for the past week, and hey, Chet's in chat too. Thanks, good to see you, Chet. Chet's one of our amazing tech crew also, and he's quite the painter himself, and he was on last week's show, or the last show. I've been ill for the last week, so I'm a little rough around the edges, so bear with me. But excited to get back into the saddle again with some painting today. All right. To get started, I think we're going to do a little bit of touch-ups. I see some white spots that I didn't expect to see, where I missed some stuff. I'm just going to do a little bit of touch-up here, and then we'll get right back to it. So I think we'll start with the touch-up of the leather brown, and then go from there. Please tell me all about your current painting projects yourself, guys. I'm really excited and all about seeing more of it. Excuse me. Just doing some quick checks around the model itself to see any little spots of white that may have been missed the first time I went through it. Where there shouldn't be any white. For the most part, this miniature is a treat to paint. Fairly easy to do. One of the things you have to remember when you're painting cloth and they have the fabric in there, the way they do, you have to paint with the grain of the wrinkles on the cloth to get in there. Next week we'll have Dwight from Big Bearded Nerd on. Or at least he's scheduled. We talked today about it. And you can expect guest painters on semi-regularly as we get going. Yeah, Dwight will be on. Dwight will be on next week. Perfect. I think that solves... no, there was another spot I was looking at earlier. There we go. Take care of 90% of it right there. Alright. For the most part, sometimes you do that when you come across something, you touch it up here and there, especially on a large model like this. It's not uncommon to have spots you've missed, and sometimes stepping away and getting another look at it another day is a good way to do that. Oh, you finished the Frost Giants. Oh, dude, you need to post those in the miniatures channel so everybody can see them, because I know you did a great job on the wolf pelts and everything on those, Chad. I saw how that went. And the miniatures channel is on our Discord. If you want a Discord link, just let me know in chat. I'll make sure we get that. Hey, Rohita, good to see you. Rohita's painting a set of horns. Oh, outstanding. And Nurse says, yeah, I saw your Mega Boss that you were looking at. I saw that when I see your progress as you've been posting that as well in the miniatures channel. That's always exciting. Okay, so while I'm waiting for those to dry, I am going to paint a little bit of ultramarine blue from the Army Painter onto this little back patch right here, and then also on this patch up here. Up here and right there, so you guys can see it. So we'll hopefully see some great progress with that as we go. So oh, you forgot to take finished pictures. Oh, you always got to take pictures of your finished work, man. Always got to build that portfolio. I tell you, roll these back a little bit. Whoa, looks like Tommy's here. Hold on one second, Tommy. Let me reset something here. Get the mini cam up here while I get this fixed for everybody else. Guys, Tommy, Math 333, the legend, he's here today. Let's see here. Boom. All right. Let's see if that has solved anything here. Not exactly. Tommy, you got your sound up yet? No, he doesn't. Okay. So, as soon as Tommy gets his sound up. Oh. He'll figure it out. So, anyway, back to the giant itself. Again, we're using ultramarine blue on the little blanket at the top here, and then also at the one right here on the back patch. So that should be a nice blue color. And then from there we may do a little gray and blue mix up. That should be a nice change of pace as well. So and then whoopsie. Let's see. All right. And Tommy, can you hear me? He's still setting up, so we'll just get to work, and then once he's set up, we'll bring it in here. Okay. Tommy's still figuring his stuff out there over there. So we're gonna get right to work here. So again, I've pulled my paint, I've put it on my palette. I've got it watered down a little bit here. There we go. So you can see, but you can see Tommy trying to work on his stuff too and get his settings set correctly. I am using the Wargamer Regiment brush right now. And if I have to, I will do 2 thin coats on this just to get her done. Nope, I can't hear you, Tommy. Check your sound setting. He just sent me a message letting me know he can see me. Let me see if I can help him troubleshoot a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on there. I like how this brown is. Going to be a nice undercoat for this. Perhaps that'll give it a nice soiled look. And again, if I hit it with enough thin coats, it may not be an issue. Let's see what we can do here. Oh. If I pick and pick, twitch up, and continue through. That sounds good. Do that. Do that. Yeah, try that. Give it a shot. I know he's talking, he's shaking his head, but I can't tell what he's saying. Go for it, Tommy. You can do it, buddy. Let's see here. Okay, getting back to this. Now I'm going to hit the second coat on the bottom one here. All right, Tommy's on. I can't hear you, Tommy. Not a word. Nothing. Oh my gosh, what a chance. Hey, can you type in Twitch? Will that let you do it? All right, there he is. Matt333 is now on Twitch, where he can type his responses. And it looks like he's painting... What you painting there today? We'll get you sorted out on audio another time, buddy. Ah, Reaper Soldier guy. Okay. Love me some Reaper. You may need to check to see if Zoom has access to your mic. All right, now we're going to go for our second coat of elf green on this large blanket on the back. Ooh. That's the blankie on the back we're going to be hitting. Hmm. That's done. Okay, our next step is going to be the webbing or the net that's on his back. Any other rope stuff that they've got on him, which is right here, and we'll just get that knocked out. You know what I should probably do is the stone next. Why don't we go ahead and get that done? We'll start with this ash gray, and then we'll work up to a stone golem. I think the grayer stone with all the earth tones that are on this particular miniature are a great way to go when you're talking about the different colors that are on it. So it adds something to it when you have a gray stone with all the other stuff that's there. So. There you go, Tommy. Huh. That is too wild, man. Too wild. Let me see if there's anything on my end. Hang on a second, Tommy. Do a mic check now, buddy.
Test.
There you go.
Yeah, we can communicate again.
Yeah. Yeah. How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
Oh, wait. And now I don't think I have to have the Twitch up because now I got an echo.
Yeah. Just take it right on down, buddy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
It's going. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, you're looking healthy and well. That's good.
I've had a lingering cough. I heard you had the same for a while.
I had a little more than a lingering cough. I was almost hospitalized.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing much, much better right now talking to me, right?
Yeah. Any day you wake up on the right side of the grass is a good day, my friend.
I agree with that fully.
So, a Reaper soldier dude, huh?
Yeah, so I don't know what they're actually called. There is a name because there's like a whole line of these Reaper 40K-ish futuristic kind of soldier dudes, and there's even some alien monsters and stuff, but I've painted one before and I had this one laying around, so I decided I'd go ahead and do this one to finish off my night tonight.
Cool beans, man.
I see you're doing the WizKids Hill Giant, right?
Yep. This is the WizKids Hill Giant. It came pre-primed. I still primed them nonetheless, but yeah, it's a great mini. I've had this thing for a few years now, and I'm just now getting the time to paint it. To be honest,
Probably one of my favorite minis I've ever painted.
Yeah, I could probably paint 3 or 4 of these and be happy.
Something about giants and beholders with me. Those are my 2 favorite things to paint.
Yeah, I've seen you have like a beholder army.
I think I've got like 8 or 9 completed beholders now. I have 1 more beholder left unpainted. And then I know there's at least 1 other Reaper beholder that I don't have. And other than that, I'll just be down to 3D prints, I'm pretty sure. I thought I had all the Reaper Hill Giants. I have 1 left to paint, but then someone told me online that there's other ones. So I think it's ones from like recent Kickstarters that aren't available on their website yet. I don't know, but yeah, Giants and Beholders, those are my favorites. I just like stuff I can get big and nasty with.
Yeah. I'm kind of big on dragons.
I do love dragons. I just get so intimidated by them.
Yeah, well, if you've painted a million Tyranids from another company, you can handle a dragon, I think.
I got a sheet of them right here.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
yeah. You got a sprue.
Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Termagants? What was it? The ones with the long claws?
Yeah, the real long single blade claws.
Yeah, those are Hormagaunts.
I really like them. They're freaky looking. And Tyranids, I always said if I was going to do a 40K army, that's probably the one that I'd want to do.
Oh, yeah.
The nasty alien bug insect.
Well,
creature.
they're not insects. So they're what would happen if dinosaurs continue to evolve, theoretically.
See, now I like them even better. I'm 100% ignorant when it comes to Warhammer lore.
Most people don't even know that part. And I could be wrong. I mean, that's what's been explained to me when I used to work there.
Fair enough. Well, then that's probably credible information, right? Fair.
You never know, man. There's so many twists and plot changes now, and they've retconned some stuff too, it seems like.
I'm so ignorant. I didn't realize that it's like decades of lore. I think that's amazing. Just a continuous, sprawling adventure.
Well, it's not. It's decades of us making lore, but it's 40,000 years of lore.
No, I know. That's what I mean, though. But like decades of just the players and the writers and everybody just adding on to this behemoth of a game.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was one of the few kids in Arkansas who bought the original Rogue Trader book years ago.
That's awesome. Do you still have it?
I do.
Awesome.
I do. I have that, and I have the compilation and the compendium. I believe the compendium was the red one, and the compilation was the yellow one. The yellow book. Had all sorts of other stuff in there. All that
So-
predates Gene Stealers being part of the Tyranid army and all sorts of other information in there. Some great fiction and some artwork that is off the charts as well.
That's one of the things I love about it too. The artwork is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of sci-fi stuff and nasty-looking aliens and gore and violence. It's all fun, right?
I guess. Well, I've really been taken by these fantasy minis.
I really enjoy them, but I still just always go back to the monsters. I love the monsters. I think it's easier for me because I don't paint in a really clean style. I've got a fairly, I call it an ambiguous kind of layered effect. But it's really just manipulating colors to manipulate how we view the colors on the surface of whatever it is I'm putting these layers onto.
Uh-huh.
And so it's hard for me to it's hard for me to paint realistic, I guess is the word, or like small, fine details or beauty type paint jobs. Like those things are really hard for me because it's just not how my brain isn't that clean and crisp when I'm imagining what I'm doing. It's a lot more blurry and kind of dark. So that's why I think I'm drawn more to those types of paint jobs, is just kind of matches what I see a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll paint anything, I guess. But
where in the world are you at these days?
I'm in the Midwest, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
It's home. I love it. I'm a Hoosier through and through. I'm sad our Colts are out the playoffs, but if we had to lose to anybody, I was happy it was to the Bills. I'm pulling for them now this year. But yeah, I'm a Midwest guy. You guys are all out East Coast, right?
Most of us, yeah. We've got some team members that are in different places too, but yeah, most of the studio cast are from Washington D.C. area.
You guys have been having a whole lot of fun recently.
Yeah, we're not going to get too much into that.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely been excited. Made sure everybody was safe. Everybody was. That's the good news. So
That's what's most important.
yeah.
And painting minis.
And
Because
painting
painting
minis.
makes
Yeah.
everything better. I got to play my first D&D game of the year yesterday. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
It was.
What are you playing? What are you playing?
It's a 5e system. It's my character for the race. I used a homebrew system by James McCoy. I don't know if you know him on Twitter. It's his Kickstarter was to destroy a storm, if I remember correctly. But it's a homebrew race system, if you will. So I use that for class. I'm a druid, and my background is a hermit. Pretty much, it's me in a fantasy world, so it makes it really easy for me to play. But yeah, it's a 5e system, high fantasy setting. We've fought giants, we've fought a beholder, we've faced dragons. So
Yar.
it's a fun game. It's the only D&D game that I've ever been a PC in.
Oh really? You've only dungeon mastered all your games?
Yep, and I only have one party, so like I've only ever been a DM, and I've only ever DM'd for my one party.
Okay.
So getting the chance to play a game online is awesome.
Killer. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. Okay. And it looks like I made an error here. The stone I'm using, by the way, for the first layer is ash gray from the Army Painter. And then I'm going to layer that up with stone golem as a lighter, whiter shade of gray. So.
How you like those Army Painter paints?
Oh man, it's all I've ever used on the show. It's fantastic. I love it. But for me, it's tools in the toolbox. I'm going to use whatever tools are going to work the best for what I'm doing. And the Army Painter gives me a really wide variety of paints that I'm trying to, or colors and textures and stuff. Plus with the dripper bottles, I don't waste hardly any paint. So really helpful to keep that in place, and makes it easier for me to only use what I need.
I need to give them a shot. I've only ever tried Walmart brand paints and Reaper's MSP line. I've had one Vallejo black.
Vallejo black is good.
Yeah, I'm out of it. Yeah, I loved it so much.
Yeah, I have every GW paint. I have. I don't particularly. I particularly use. I prefer to use purpose for miniatures paints because they typically have the viscosity that I'm looking for. But you know, and I've got the Army Painter paint as well. So I've got every single thing any of them have made. And then I have some other paints as well. So yeah.
Like you said, tools in the tool belt.
Yeah. Naceris, yes, every paint. MSP, I've only tried MSP a little bit. I mean, I've got a bottle of it up here as well. I'll be giving it a shot on some stuff here off stream just to check it out. Reaper sent me a whole bunch of cool minis back here, and I'm going to be painting those suckers up here shortly. My next one that I'm particularly working on is this bad boy right here, which is the I forget what they call it.
That's for the challenge, right?
Yeah, it's for the Discord paint challenge on the Games Tavern Discord. So everybody who got one is going to be taking a part of it. It's more than a necromancer though. It's because he's got a sword and stuff like that too. But I guess it is a necromancer of sorts.
I still need to pick up that model. I haven't got it yet.
Highly recommend.
So plus it'd just be fun to paint with everybody else too.
Oh, dude. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to try to do a new one every month.
I remember it got pretty big. There was quite a few people that did it last year. Tharaval and Friends. Everybody did the Naga, the Reaper Naga.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you remembered that or not. That's the only other one I've done where everybody had the same one that they tried to do.
Yeah. And we now have just quite a few new people in the Games Tavern Discord. We're pretty close to 500 people now.
That is awesome.
And that's pretty exciting too for us because all these people are jumping in and becoming part of the bigger community and family and having a ball. And some of them are creating their own events and stuff like that too, which I think is awesome. The best events are always community driven,
Oh, I love it. You guys have a fantastic community going with the Games Tavern Network. I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
Well, a lot of your stuff gets shown during our breaks too, because you keep posting it in the Minis channel.
You guys humor me, and I appreciate you very much.
We don't just humor you. We like your work. I wouldn't put you on if I thought I was humoring you. I got better things to do.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
The whole painting community has been an amazing community. Ever since the first day that I came into it, I had no idea anything about minis or anything. The first one I painted was April 19th of last year. And I got into D&D a little bit before that, but I even had it in my head. I was like, so I keep printing out these pictures of like characters, and then I cut them out and I tape them together against these little pieces of plastic. And boom, I got all the minis in the world I need for free. I'm printing them off at home. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, what do I need minis? And then I started getting on Twitter because I started making these bootleg little YouTube videos that I thought were awesome, but admittedly, they're kind of bootleg little videos. But so I get on Twitter and I see all these painted miniatures, and it was just eye-opening for me. I no longer looked at them as just like an accessory to this game that's going to cost too much money for, like, I don't even know if I'm gonna get into it yet. And I started looking at it as art. Like, wow, some of these minis are phenomenal. And that's what kind of sold me. I was like, I want to see if I can do this. Let me give it a try.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it was a passion. At that point, I was like, oh, I really, really enjoy this. Not even just about seeing if I can do it, but for the meditation, that quiet time, just kind of getting in the zone and playing with the mini. I enjoy every bit of it. And everybody's been super, super encouraging and supportive along my journey, and I very much appreciate it.
Well, I think amongst especially the top tier painters, is the humility is a norm. There was a period of time where I thought, man, I'm a really good painter, and then I had the realization, no, I wasn't. And I will never stop learning. I will never stop learning, and so now, I would say I have two styles I basically focus on. I either do a speed paint style, kind of like what I'm doing with this Hill Giant, or I do a much more in-depth style on a miniature that I can spend and lavish a lot of time with. And more often than not, it's the speed painting than the lavished attention. But
I respect the mess out of the lavished attention one, though. I do not have the attention span. For people that can spend like days on the same mini, I start getting frustrated. I'm like, I don't even want to look at that mini anymore. I want to be done with it. So I respect the mess out of people that can sit there and put hours worth of love into an individual mini. I don't know how they do that.
Well, I think you might be surprised if they spend that much time on it very often. It's either a competition piece or it's rather large. Some of the speed at which some of these painters that I know can paint something would astonish you.
The fastest one I know you know him, Michael Mordor.
Yeah, I know.
I've been watching him.
I know.
I'll be watching him paint, and he'll just speed through stuff. He moves quick.
Yeah, Mike and I were talking not that long ago when we were trying to go over how to do setups for streaming and stuff like that, and we were talking about different things to do, and he was having some challenges. He's a far better painter than I think, but he he had some challenges, and I reached out to him to help him out, and he's been awesome right back ever since, and he's been a part of our community just as much as we've been a part of his.
I always joke with him. He's the one. Everything about Math Productions, or me being ignorant on the internet, tagging 800 people every other Friday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all his fault. Like, if he would have never, in a sense, taken me under his wing and taught me a few things and taught me enough to enjoy having fun with this thing, then I wouldn't be doing all this stuff. So it's pretty much all his fault. When I first started, he used to dog me bad about my brushes that I use. They're terrible, terrible brushes. Like, this pretty much would have been like my go-to actual brush. Like, I'd have been using this for details and stuff like that. And he kept seeing these videos that I was putting on YouTube using brushes like this, painting these little minis. And he ended up sending me a box that had my first two Army Painter brushes. It was the Psycho and the Fine Detail brush, and had a couple other minis and stuff like that. But that was kind of what cemented it, as I was like, okay, so not only is this stuff cool, not only are these people nice saying that my crappy first handful of minis look cool or whatever, but they're even helping me out, like helping me get better at this and like investing in me to get better. And I was hooked. I love the community, everything about it. Every single person that I've came into contact with is a phenomenal person, and I very much appreciate all of them. I sound like a broken record, but it's legitimate. Like,
keep that. You definitely want to keep that. That is going to be a big difference in everything that you do. and how everyone's going to help you as you grow as well.
Firmly believe that love conquers all. When I eat, my friends eat, because every once in a while I'm gonna be hungry and I'm gonna expect them to feed me. So I'm done with my layer 1 on this soldier guy.
Go ahead and show it off there.
If you're familiar with how my paints go, this is nothing at all what it's gonna look like at the end. This is solely setting the foundation for how I'm going to manipulate the colors for how they look at the very end. It's golden skin from Reaper. This is my hands. I don't ever prime anything, but I do use a thick layer of paint initially before I do anything else. And golden skin, I love. It's incredibly versatile. It goes on really well. That's what I use initially. That's why it was kind of tan, not the white plastic. But then basically I want greens and yellows in the middle. I want more reds and browns on the bags. And then I want more blue for the metal. Now for the armor, I left it green just because it's going to make it easier to blend with everything else that I'm doing for the uniform. But the armor itself, at the very end, I'm going to hit it with a thin black gloss, because with the other colors that I'll have caked onto it, when I put a thin black on it, it's basically going to just make it look black Kevlar-y, almost like a shimmery. It's not quite gray, it's darker than that, but you feel like you can see some other colors in the black. And then I'll end up dry brushing it with some sort of like blade seal or polished silver to give it more of a dark armor type look. But so yeah, that's layer 1. Green. Well, I don't even know what color it is. It's in a sample. It just says sample, but it's green. So sample green. The red that I used as a base, I don't know how to pronounce this right. Merisiel, Merisiel, red, Merisiel red.
Mercio.
And then the blue is ultramarine blue. So after I got that layered on, I'm going to take this Kraken ink and I'm going to mix up a paint to water gloss. It'll probably be like 3 drops of paint to every 2 drops of water, something like that, but it'll be more than 3 and 2. And I'm gonna cover the entire mini with it, everything.
Okay.
So that's what I'm about to do next.
All right. I'm big on washes.
The reason I enjoy washes is it just allows me to manipulate. So a lot of people, when they paint, they talk about control, like the argument of a wet palette versus a dry palette. People say that a dry palette, you get more control than a wet palette. I agree with that sentiment, which is why I use paper plates. But when it comes to actually putting the paint and the color on the mini, I believe in controlled chaos. I don't believe in micromanaging every individual step in the process. I believe in trusting the brush, trusting the paint, trusting the mini, and trusting that vision that you have of where you're trying to get to. I feel like if you put all of those things together and you just let it happen, then it'll happen. But if you do too much to control it, in my opinion, that's when you end up pushing it a little bit too far, I think.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. It's always a gamble whenever I'm doing stuff like taking a color that I haven't used yet and just painting it. I'm not even looking at what I'm doing. I'm just rubbing it all over.
Braver man than I, good sir. All right, for the netting, I'm going to use a desert yellow, and then I may highlight that up with something a little less, a little lighter. A little more pastel maybe. The reason I'm going with the desert yellow is I would think that the ropes and the netting would have yellowed a bit in the sun and dirt, that it probably in mud that it got dragged through by this hill giant on a repeated basis.
I love that. That's how I try to think of colors that I'm gonna use. Real applicable colors. Why would they be the way they are?
Well, sometimes I'll look at pictures of real life items. So like when I did the horned owl familiar for a character model, I literally had pictures of the great horned owl all over the place. So I could see from different angles the browns, the blacks, the tans, and the patterns that they make in the feathers, and when the wings are outstretched, how it should look. And that is a huge part of my process when I'm doing realistic objects. And then for fantasy objects, I base it on real life stuff in many cases. I've got a green dragon that I'm debating. I'm gonna do it one way that's very fantasy, and then I'm looking at getting another one maybe, and painting it a different way. Maybe in the future it looks more like a snake.
Which company's Green Dragon?
I have the WizKids Green Dragon.
Nice.
And I just did, not that long ago, earlier last year, I did Death Sleep, the White Dragon.
Awesome.
From Reaper.
I've never done a Wiz Dragon. I really want to.
It's part of the Pathfinder Gargantuan Dragon set.
That's the one I'm holding out for, is that red Gargantuan Dragon. Like, I'm a Leo fire sign, so I'm all about the fire dragons. I don't know what, I think that's my excuse for being drawn to them, other than being a pyro, but I love fire dragons. Mm-hmm. That red Gargantuan from WizKids I want really bad, but it's like $40, and I can't justify that on one mini. I could go to Reaper, spend $40, get like 8 minis and a free one.
Yeah. Well, hey man, hype your Patreon a bit. I know you just started it up.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. It's patreon.com/mathproductions. There's several tiers. My biggest one that I'm pushing recently is my battle map tier, Battle Strategist. Basically, for $1 a month, you get full access to every single map that I make. You can absolutely request that I take my watermark off any single map that I've made. You can use it, free use, however you want to. And you can request a free commission map every single month. After that, you get 50% off my standard commission rate for battle maps. I have a $1 tier as a guardian angel just to help me out. I have $3 tiers, $5 tiers, and some more expensive tiers that, you got to put them out there, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's it's a great thing. I have a couple handfuls of supporters, and I appreciate them more than everybody else I've said I appreciated so far tonight. And because they directly go towards propping up everything that I'm trying to do with Math Productions. They've even helped in various ways, helped me get to the point where there's mathproductions.com, where if you didn't want to become a Patreon, you could still buy my battle maps. You could buy some of my hand-painted minis. You could always just message me and say, hey, Tommy, I really like that mini. How much you want for it? And everything's for sale always. But you can go to the website as well. There's also battle map apparel. This sweater I'm wearing is a battle map that I made, actually. Super comfortable sweater, and you can take it off and throw some minis on it in case you don't have a map while you're playing. Right? Genius, practical, across the board. There's not a reason not to own one. Battle map apparel. But that's what we're about at Math Productions. See, we don't have the game. You need to have the game yourself, but everything else you need for the game, we got you. What you're gonna wear, what you're gonna play on, a cup for your drink, a bag for your books, some painted minis, hand painted by me. So, what more could you want, right? It's a great website. Check it out.
You could take your sweater off and play your game on it. Okay, man. Like that's not something I expected to hear today. That is great.
T-shirt. Even on a baby, say you don't got time to take off your sweater, but your baby's looking a little bit warm. Take off your baby's shirt that's got a battle map on it. Boom, you're ready to go. Anytime, anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I have no problem shamelessly promoting, so I just wanted to disclaimer there at the end.
No, that's fine.
I'm kind of ignorant.
Matt, we let our guests actually promote themselves a little bit. Otherwise, they don't really get a benefit of being on here.
My benefit is just hanging out with you, man. We talked all over DMs on Discord and stuff, but I never actually got to speak with you.
Yeah.
I'm all about people, man. Without people, what's the point?
Exactly.
Somebody told me the other day, we were talking, it's actually something that'll come through a little bit of promoting, but I'm trying not to spoil anything. But one of the people that worked with me on getting my math production logos together and stuff like that, they're putting together a little package for a giveaway coming up soon that might have a little bit of my stuff in it. And they might be talking about this battle map apparel idea of mine and be pushing it a little bit. So I don't remember why I brought that up. Do you remember why we brought that up? Because I'm trying to watch myself to not say too much, and then I forgot where I was going with it.
Well, you were talking about people and how we all got to be about
people. No, he told me, he said I was talented. I said, yeah, but talent means nothing without purpose, and purpose means nothing without company. It's all about people, in my opinion. That was my whole point, that little phrase. Here's what happens, though, if you wanted to see. I don't know if you can see it that well. It's probably dark.
If you could bring it a little more to the bottom right. There you go. Just say something.
So when you take that bright green, bright red, and bright blue, throw a little bit of some dark purple on it. And then what I've been doing with this thicker brush, I don't know if you got to see, but I've been doing this all over it after I overloaded it with the wash. As I'm just blotching off all of the excess, I'm distributing it across, but I'm also kind of reverse dry brushing, where normally you would dry brush on the color. When I'm hitting it with the dry brush after overloading it with the wash, it's pushing that wash deeper into the crevices, but it's pulling the color off of those highlights. So it's helping, like, they kind of reverse dry brush before I go back in and hit it with another dry brush. To me, it kind of like, it primes the dry brush, if you will, and it helps the two colors then blend better, if you will, as opposed to kind of two opposing colors stacked right on top of each other. You get a dominant color, you get it faded, and then you get a new color lightly applied onto it. So it's kind of two halves as opposed to two fulls hitting each other. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Hopefully it does.
I'll have to try that on a miniature and see. It kind of, I let the wash do its own thing, because as it dries, it tends to pool in the recesses, and it has less
I just don't
color.
trust it. I put too much on. I always do, and then I'll have this like thick, glossy, just clump of a dark pool in a place that I didn't see, and I should have seen it to get that much out. But that's the only, so that's anytime I say what I'm doing, please, for any viewers that see this, I do not recommend at all painting the way that I paint, because I'm pretty sure I break every rule of painting that like you're supposed to follow. So please know that if you ever see one of my minis and you're like, hey, he might have did something right by accident, it probably don't try to recreate it exactly. Try to recreate that look in your own style. Otherwise, you'll probably get frustrated and end up chucking some minis at the floor. Most of the time, too, what happened when I end up finishing a mini and I really like it, 9 times out of 10, the majority of the parts that I really like, they were completely by accident. I did not mean for it to happen. It just did, and I ran with it.
Well, that's how you discover things, though, man. Like, that creativity comes from, being bold and practicing and, trying something different completely to achieve an effect that it was unexpected. That still happens to me all the time. But with washes, what I find is I do use brushes sometimes to tease stuff out if I get a little too much in one particular section. But I tend to be a little lighter with my washes, I guess, than you do. I don't know, maybe. But
you probably use them as they're intended.
I don't know. As intended is relative. It depends on the wash effect I'm trying to achieve. And for example, most people don't realize that my white dragon actually started off like charcoal black.
For real?
Yeah. And almost all of the white that is on it started with brain matter beige, which is a gray-white color, and then I layered up to white, and you still see, and it's dry brushed the whole way up. And that is very specific way to speed paint a white dragon. Doing a white dragon otherwise, you'd prime it white, maybe hit it with a blue wash, do some other things. I did not do that. So it did get hit with a blue wash, but it got hit with a blue wash on top of a gray background, a dark blue gray background. And that paint plan, speaking of self-promotion, is on our Patreon, which you can find at Patreon/The Games Tavern. And that will explain how I painted up that white dragon, I think in about 2.5 hours on stream, to a very high standard. And the other key is there was mostly just blue wash used, and then it got dry brushed over, except for the eyes. The eyes I used white, and then I was going to hit it with a wash and then dot the eyes, but the way the wash just naturally dried, and this is the reason I'm telling you all this. Here's the reason I got to all this. As the wash dried, the natural recesses surrounding the eye were darker, and there was such a gradient at the eye that the center point of the eye, where the pupil would be in every case, was bright white, which was perfect for that dragon. So I didn't do anything else. I was like, this is great. This is how I want to do monster eyes all the time.
Now, on the Games Tavern Patreon, I'm a proud patron, and it's absolutely worth your support if you can contribute to the Games Tavern Network, because they are phenomenal. Every person that I've met that's associated with them. And every show is absolutely entertaining, and I would highly recommend everybody take a watch with them.
Remind me to, give you a big hug when we can do that again.
Bro, one day I'm gonna come out to the East Coast, and I'm gonna find out when y'all are filming, and I'm gonna be like, hey, look, I'm in the area, let's have a drink, and let me come on set real quick. And I'm gonna get to be a crazy druid NPC that has no relevance to the story whatsoever, but I'm just gonna walk by kind of in the background, and then I'll be happy. I'll get happy. That's my dream.
To show up in our studio show, man, your dreams are so easy. I love your dreams. They're so nice.
Right? They're so easy. They're so simple. See, I don't set the bar low on big things that I'm trying to do, but for the little, personal victories, just little victories, that's all I'm about. And who wouldn't want to just be a random crazy old hippie druid that randomly walks by in the background of an awesome D&D show? Has nothing to do with the story, shouldn't distract from the story at all, but still it leaves that lingering question. What was that, and what was the purpose of that? Builds up hype, everybody's talking about it. Boom. I have terrible ideas. That's all I am, is a terrible idea, man. I just be talking.
We'll let you work on miniatures. I don't know that you're going to be one of our writers, but...
Hey, speaking of writing, though, I was a writer before anything else to do with D&D, DMing,
really?
PCing,
Tell us all about it.
When I was 18, I self-published my first book. We won't go into it. It's not very good. But my biggest claims to fame, I guess, with that is I've got over 30 plus works. It's an interconnected universe, if you will. It's general fan fiction. It's adventure, time travel, thriller, multiverse, hybrid of Marvel, DC, and Tolkien ideology.
So you can't sell it because you don't own any of the IP, but boy, is it a fun project.
Yeah, and bro, so this is how it came to be. So I started playing this game called Legendary by Upper Deck. They have Legendary. Yeah, so I played the Marvel version, and so I had all these sets of Marvel Legendary. And I get on, if you've ever been on BoardGameGeek.com, I get on BGG and I go to the Marvel Legendary forums, and I realize there's multiple thousands of custom cards for not just Marvel, like all these other things. So I start downloading literally thousands of these custom cards people have made, and then cutting them all out, sleeving them, all that good stuff. And so I get through all the ones that other people have made that I want to download. And I'm like, they keep pushing this program to make your own. So I'm going to try to do that. And so I downloaded that program, LegEdit, and I learned how to make custom cards myself. So I start making these custom cards, and I realized I'm like, playing these just random one-off games is fun, but I like having a story. Like, I want a campaign style game, and there's not one that exists for Legendary. You can play solo, but there's still no campaign. And so I started writing like, level 1, level 2, and through a months-long process of figuring out these different levels, I was like, it's not cohesive enough. I don't like it. I need to go back to the beginning for this story, which that brought me back to the prior to the Big Bang, everything that happened subsequently up to the timeline of the current. And that led into like almost 120,000 words for my fan fiction now.
Oh, wow.
So it literally all started because I wanted a campaign. So I did end up making campaign style mechanics, a game store to be able to buy and unlock characters early and to revive lost characters. The story mode, or the story itself, has a campaign guide that I've made and printed. So you can literally read the fanfic and play the battles with Legendary cards as you're reading through the story itself. And and so that's basically, I was pushing that on Reddit because I hated all social media, wasn't on any social media, didn't trust nothing to do with anybody on the internet. And so I made this fanfic, and I was like, I'm gonna put it on Archive of Our Own and stuff like that. And that's where it's on now. It's on all three: Archive of Our Own, fanfic.net, and Wattpad. But it's called A Legendary Story, the first of its kind. But so I started pushing it on Reddit, meet a writing group on Reddit, like a handful of us, like 5 of us, and they invited me to this Discord. I had never heard of Discord before, but again, I'm like, I don't trust the internet, but these people seem kind of cool. And so I came to Discord with them, and then long story short, a few months later, I get into D&D because of good experiences on Reddit and on Discord. Decided to go ahead and try getting on Twitter, and the rest is history, right?
Exactly, man.
Isn't it awesome how like small little random things that should be inconsequential to what I'm doing now literally directly kind of led me on that path exactly to talking to you today. Had I never been writing the story for this game Legendary, I would have never done any of the other things with D&D that I've done since, and I wouldn't be talking to you right now, this evening, on the 17th.
I love that you just like that things happen.
Can't fight it. They're going to happen anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just that you enjoy the journey and marvel at it, I'm trying to edit myself because I cuss a lot, so I'm doing real good. But what I want to say with edits is the world's an effed up place, right? So we're all going to see the effed upness, but if we focus on that, then we're missing so much more that's out there. There's so much more good out there than bad. A lot of our outlets only want us to look at the bad. Well, they reward you for screaming, and because the more visceral emotional responses you can evoke, the more followers you get. It's a reward for making people wallow.
Fear mongering and hate mongering, right? I'm just trying to do the reverse. Show people you can get the exact same means in life, or ends in life, by doing the opposite means, right? You can treat people with love, kindness, and calmness, and you can still get what you're trying to get in life. Yeah. So I'm trying to be an example of that for people. Instead of stabbing somebody in the back to get what you want, you should put your arm around their back and you both should get it together. That's my message.
Tommy, if you get any more positive, man, we're going to be starting up our own,
I got this like permasec THC or something on my spine. I don't know what it is, but I'm just always in a good mood. That's all it is.
You're gonna be doing your own motivational speaking tour here later, buddy.
See, I'm ignorant again. Tell me you've seen the movie Waterboy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so remember when he goes on his little tirade or whatever, and then Lawrence Taylor takes over, and when they're at the youth football camp, and Lawrence Taylor goes, which brings us to our message today, kids. Don't smoke crack. That's what I always go to in my head whenever somebody says, Tommy, you should say something. All right, what am I going to tell these people? This is the best advice that I can give somebody. I don't know what other advice to give.
Don't smoke crack is pretty good advice.
But don't ask Corey my thoughts on that. Not about crack, but I do have some advice for his student. And has he told you about this?
About
Because
what?
he refuses to give his students some advice of mine that I legitimately feel like will help these kids, not only in their current situations, but in life in general. And he refuses to share my words of wisdom with his children.
Well, that's probably for good reason. What's the advice? I must know.
If you're going to study high, test high.
Oh.
Don't do them separate. If you're going to do one way, do them both the same. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure. He refuses to tell his kids
that's a bad deal. I'm kind of not cool on that one either. Yeah, I wouldn't tell kids that either.
I mean, he's saying they're in high school. They're doing it anyway. Tell them to be safe. Just tell them to be safe.
No, you can't do that.
I told you I'm ignorant. And I'd be messing with him all the time.
If it can be misconstrued as a message, it will be. You've seen enough social media to know that.
Bro, it's crazy. Social media really is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There was some, we don't even have to talk about other people's drama, but yeah, man, I'll be finding other people's drama on Twitter and just be reading through comments and stuff, and I'll be like, wow, why? Why is any of this that deep?
Healthy use of the mute button to avoid all that. So.
I never thought I was going to have to start blocking people, and I'm sure you can understand why. The events of the past few months, I've been blocking people like crazy. I never thought I was going to be one to block somebody, but I've even had to block people. Just some stuff I can't take.
You're big on the MSP paints, though, you said, right? Changing the
100.
subject a little bit.
Anytime, dude.
How long have you been using the MSP paints?
I finally graduated preschool painting probably in like June of last year. So probably about 8-9 months now.
Okay.
I only used really cheap paints and brushes for like the first 2 months maybe that I was painting. And then I got ridiculed enough for it that I eventually bought my own nicer ones and was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep using nicer ones.
What brushes are you using?
Oh, these are still some cheap boys. These are just a regular $10 brand from Amazon. It says it's either a B or an LAID. Plaid. PLAID, plaid.
Oh yeah, craft brushes.
But I did buy these because I got my first commissioned paint job is in the mail. It's going to arrive, it should, next week. A buddy is sending me the Critical Roll minis or whatever. So I bought some nicer brushes. They're still not like amazing brushes, I don't think, but they were like 50% off, so I grabbed them. I can't say this word. Artisan Shop.
Artisan Shop. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used those yet. They're still in the wrapping.
I highly recommend the Army Painter.
I love the. I had two of them.
Pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the best value you can get.
Bro, check this out. You want to know how awesome of a brush owner I am?
How?
Here's my Army Painter Insane Detail brush.
Yep. Wait. Where's the rest of it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It broke off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm kind of rough with brushes. A little bit.
Yeah, I have the Insane Detail brush. I have the Psycho brush.
I like the Psycho. The Psycho's nice.
Yeah.
It's in the same state as my Insane Detail brush.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's cool too because I got a Reaper one right here that's in the same boat. It was the Reaper Pro Paint 850. Oh, no, it's this 0 is the size. Yeah, that one's broke.
What happened to your brushes? How'd they break?
So what I'm really bad at is like I'm doing now, like I let paint dry on it because I'll get distracted and I'll just put the brush down, or I keep running the same paint over the mini over and over, and it's just drying in my brush while I'm doing it. But at the same time, like it has an effect on what I'm painting, so it's almost like I'm sacrificing the brush. Instead of getting maybe like 80 good minis painted out of a brush before it starts wearing, I'll get probably about like 30 or 40 minis in with the brush before it starts looking real sketch. I have no good excuse for it. I'm not a responsible brush owner.
Remember, kids, it's important that you're a responsible brush owner. Clean your tools after you're done.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah. That's advice you can give to kids. That's safe advice.
To be fair, I feel like I should disclaim, I would never say that to those kids. I only say it to Corey because I know it makes him uncomfortable, and I find it hilarious to make Corey feel uncomfortable. So I'm a jerk, but I'm not irresponsible. I would not say that to kids. Unless they're like 18, and in that case, they're an adult. Yeah, I'd tell them. If they're 18, I'd tell them.
Always know your audience.
See, I don't. Especially when it comes to the internet, bro. You have no idea how scared I was of the internet when I first started posting stuff on Twitter. I was like, I do not know these people at all. These people do not know me. I am crazy, but they're gonna know I'm crazy, and they're gonna think I'm like a malevolent crazy as opposed to a benevolent crazy. Like, I was so worried about posting stuff on the internet.
Don't worry, Tom.
Making YouTube videos and stuff.
You did all right.
I tried to make YouTube videos for like the first few months. I didn't even put my face on the camera. I wouldn't even talk on it. I was like, I'm not going to put my face or my voice on the internet. No one will know who I am. And then I eventually gave in and was like, yeah, I'll put my face on the internet. I don't think anybody's going to do anything with my face anyway. It's a handsome mug, actually.
That long, luxurious beard of yours, sir.
I got on the our game yesterday, and James, the first thing he said to me, he goes, "Oh, Happy New Year! Why do you look way more hairy than the last time I saw you?" I haven't shaved, bro. What do you mean? That's why. I'm at home. I don't got no reason to go out. Although, to be fair, the most I do, I don't cut my hair, but I will normally trim up my beard a little bit. It's a little long. I'm lazy, though.
Oh man, this net is one of those monotonous pieces.
Yeah, I remember painting that net. I was not. You talking about the one that holds the cargo on his back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I struggled with that, and dude, on that one, what really messed with me, I had no idea what he was using as pants. Like, I could not figure out if it was like a tarp or a sail or some sort of canvas. I could not, because it's got that metal hoop thing that goes through it too. So I have no idea what pants that giant is wearing. That was the hardest.
Looks like a wagon cover.
See, that's what I like, a canvas top or something like that. That's what I thought, but I was real unsure on that one. I was like, I have no idea what these are. I did end up doing it semi like that though. I think I went with like a yellow color for that.
It appears he's got some kind of steel cabling holding his pants up too. Or not steel, but some kind of cabling.
That like hoop thing?
Yeah. Still trying to figure it out. It's one of those challenging pieces that even when you take a look at like an example that came from the company, you're not really entirely sure.
Okay, so we can both be humble about our abilities. Both of us, our finished hill giants should replace whatever picture of a hill giant WizKids decided to put on that mini, because that example painting is atrocious in my opinion.
It's probably not an actual painting. It's probably the 3D render with color. That's what WizKids seems to put out. Is they don't actually put out a true painted miniature. Although that may be changing now with V on their team.
I think I've seen that name on Twitter, right? The V's crafting
Muse.
or V's
Yeah,
musing?
Crafting Muse.
Okay,
V, the
yeah.
Crafting Muse, yeah.
She works for your WizKids?
I believe she does.
That's awesome. Hey man, that's so cool. People getting to work for companies like all these people like you talking about, and Michael and all these people, like companies sending you guys stuff. That's so cool to me.
Well,
hashtag goals and dreams, right?
Well, I don't know that should be the goal of the dream. I think the goal of the dream is that you produce enough, you produce product or content in such a way that people, the wonderful people who are watching here. It's a tent.
Right.
Yup, here YouTube is on hold. Yup, here YouTube is on hold. What's going on? Hey, Big Bearded Nerd is here too. Cool.
Oh, you know what I never did? I should have did it when we were doing all this other. Wait, I'm just flipping back and forth between two cameras. I'm not on Twitch anymore. I should have shared a link I was trying to get on. I was so worried about the volume.
Nah, no worries about it, man. You're good. You're good.
Oh, you already know I'm gonna promote the mess out of it, at least after the fact, once we're off this phone call. So you don't even gotta worry about it. If there's one person to shamelessly promote things, you already know.
Oh. Well,
I'm gonna do that. I still think I have to annoy people when I do my 10, 12, 15 tweet threads tagging every person I can think of. That has to be annoying to people. But I enjoy it so much.
I don't know. I'm not annoyed at all.
Fair. I know my family does, but that's different reason. My sister thinks it's annoying, but obviously that's siblings picking on each other. She doesn't need
How
to be
big's their
tagging
following?
anyway. My sister tries to be private. Hers is only a couple hundred people.
How big's yours?
Oh, I'm close to 1,100 people now. I'm pretty happy with that.
So I think you're doing everything just fine.
Yeah, but see, all right, so to be fair, like I was up to almost 2,000 people that I was following at one point, and then I realized that like 2/3 of them weren't following me back. So one day I went through, I was like, all right, I can't see any of my friends' actual stuff anymore. I'm seeing all these other random people's stuff on my feed. So I went through and I lowered down a whole bunch of them. But I feel like because I kept reading all these things about YouTube and don't do these things of follow for follow and watch out for people doing follows for follows. Well, so when I first started out, I was like, oh yeah, I'm super friendly. So people are saying to check out their stuff. I'll follow them, no problem. And then I realized like nobody was following me back when I was doing that. And so that was always my fear on Twitter and my like self-doubt. Is like how many of these people are just still hanging on and haven't unfollowed me when they were doing what I was doing at the start of just adding as many people as they could to try to get some followers back versus and I'm not downplaying I have a core group of people that I feel comfortable to call supporters of mine that are absolutely consistently showing me love in everything that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But then there's some people that like I'll look through my following list and I'm like, I've never seen them post. They've never reacted to one of my posts. Where did this person come from? Like, but that's part of that too. Is still me. Just I don't understand the internet at all. So
well, some people just lurk.
Brand new. Yeah, that's what I'm learning too. Because I was like that for so long, and I got to remember that I was like that for years, just lurking, not logged into anything, even just literally lurking from the sidelines.
That's perfectly okay.
Oh, that's what I was about for years.
Yeah, I would never want anyone to follow me hoping I'm following them, and I'm certainly not going to follow someone hoping they follow me back.
See, that's where I had to get to that point eventually. Like after a few months of being on Twitter and on being on YouTube and stuff, is I had to realize like, okay, look, I might think it's friendly and that we're helping each other out, but most of the people, they're not looking at it the same way. They're trying to be like, I literally would watch and people would follow me back, and like 2-3 days later, I would lose a follower, and I would go and check some of these new pages that I just followed, and they weren't following me. So like they would even put in the effort to like follow for a couple days and make it look legit just to turn right back around within a handful of days and unfollow. Like that to me was a certain level of depravity that I didn't want to be about. So that's where I kind of started distancing myself from that follow for follow type thing. So I think ever since I've gone to that point that any person that's started following me on any of the platforms I'm on is legitimately trying to support what I'm trying to be about, which is why I love them and thank them profusely.
I try to just focus on good content. So if someone's making good content, I'm all about seeing more of that.
So I just like seeing cool stuff. Cool stuff that I could do, cool stuff that I couldn't do, cool stuff that I've never thought to do. Just cool stuff. That's what I love about this entire hobby. Everything to do with the hobby. The games are cool, the minis are cool, the people are cool.
We do our best, buddy.
So I know I'm behind because the finale, one of the shows, was it last night or tonight?
It was yesterday. You're talking about the short shot series, 12 Nights in Barovia. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I know I missed the finale. I didn't know if it was last night or tonight.
It was last night, but you can catch it on YouTube just by going to the Games Tavern YouTube channel, which I just happened to link in chat there for anybody who's looking.
Perfect.
And so you can see that there.
How long does it take on Twitch to be able to rewatch stuff?
You can rewatch stuff. You can watch stuff on Twitch immediately following its production.
Oh, okay. I never go back and look at my old videos because I use pirated music all the time whenever I would stream. So I found out real quick, after about 24 hours, 80% of my video was muted. So anything that I was saying, yeah, people, if they didn't see it live, then it's a mystery. It's gone forever.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's a technique. I just don't use pirated music. That's my thing. So.
Not pirated as that downloaded it. I'm saying I went to YouTube, had on a playlist, and then I figured out that that's considered pirated because it's not free.
Well, you didn't pay. Yeah, you didn't pay the licensing fee for its use.
See, again, I'm an ignorant, naive simpleton when it comes to all of this.
Yeah, when we set up a show, for example, like a live play show, there's about $500 to $1,000 that gets paid out
for the rights to be able to use music and stuff.
No, not for music entirely, but I mean everything from overlay production, images, and yeah, music costs, artwork, other things that may be needed for the show as well. You know, that's just to get it started, and then there may be more here and there, so it just depends on what we're building.
That's why I love y'all so much too, because you really are about this stuff and you run it. I mean, it's your business, obviously, but I love everything about it. Like, it's literally taking that old idea of don't find a job that like you hate, find a job that you, or whatever it is, find something you love to do to get paid for it, and it's not a job anymore. Like,
yeah.
You're
when
literally
you find something you love,
embodying.
you have 5 days to every weekend. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but like, it's living a dream, dude. That's what I'm about. Like, I love it. I love every bit of it. And I know that a lot of you guys too have like, you know, quote, real jobs or whatever, 9 to 5s and stuff on. Like,
Yeah.
but this is what I'm about, dude. I love everything that you guys are about. It's so cool to me. It inspires me to try to do some piggybacking off the same thing. But again, I sold supplemental insurance, so I'm like a supplemental person, right? So there's the main attraction, and then there's me standing in the background in the parking lot, like, but don't forget your hoodie. I got a hoodie for you.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. For the iron spikes that he's got dangling off of his leg here, I was gonna do rough iron, but now I'm not sure if those are iron spikes.
Where are you talking about on the mini?
On his leg there. So if I point it out here, it'd be right here. These three.
Wait a minute, I gotta go back into Twitch. I can't see you.
Anybody else in chat know what that is?
All right, point. Oh yeah, okay. I thought that was like. Wait, I'm getting out of there, so my echo's gone.
Yeah.
I thought that those were like almost like bobbers, if you will, like fishing. So that's how I did his pants. Is I thought that maybe they were like a sail on a boat, and those were some sort of like weights or something like. Or no, I think maybe I did him as bones. Let me pull up the. I don't know. I'm not gonna pull the picture because it'll mess with the camera. Maybe I did them as bones, like 3 bones. I can't remember how I did them. That's the one thing that I don't like about WizKids minis, though, is a lot of times on the details, I really can't, especially on their tiny hero and NPCs. Like, I really can't tell what some of the things are in the molds. Not that they're bad molds. It's just I'm ignorant to the fashion. I don't know what they are. Especially like on elves, where it's more like elaborate or ornate. Drop the mini.
How's the wind in Indianapolis right now?
It's cold. It's crazy cold. Like right now, I don't see the tree branches moving, so I don't know how windy it is. I know it's been snowing on and off most of the day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there was snow on the ground this morning, and then it was flurrying a little bit earlier today.
I used to live a lot of time in Chicago, and I just remember all the wind out there. Yeah. Well, it's not called the Windy City from the wind, although it is. Because the wind that you get that runs down the streets of Chicago right now or from the skyscrapers didn't exist when it got the name the Windy City.
Right.
It got the name the Windy City because of all the politicians. Their big talk. At least that's how the legend goes.
I learned the hard way the first time I ever went to Chicago why it was called the Windy City. So anybody in Indiana, if you're a viewer in Indiana, if it's February and it's warm enough to be wearing shorts and a t-shirt in Indiana, it's probably not warm enough to spontaneously decide you're going to drive to Chicago for the day. Because when you get out of the car in Chicago, you realize real fast what that Windy City actually means. It was not fun. I ran to the Sears Tower to get a sweater.
Yeah.
It's not Sears Tower though anymore, right? It's something else.
I don't care what they say. It's always going to be the Sears Tower to me.
Same. That's the same thing. I might not be as relevant, but have you ever heard of Verizon? Well, it's Verizon Music Center in Indiana. Before that, it was like Deer Creek. So, like my parents will say it was. It's not even the Verizon Wireless Music Center. It's Deer Creek. But now it's like Klipsch Music Center or something like that. But it'll always be Verizon to me.
I think naming major stadiums and other things after corporate groups that didn't actually pay for it is they only paid for the rights to have their name all over it is kind of silly when you could memorialize people who actually did something.
I agree fully, and I just hate the way that it looks like Raymond James Stadium. Like I don't like that. M&T Bank Stadium or whatever. Like I hate that. Like yeah, I don't like it.
There are plenty of.
But to be fair, I mean, in the Colts, Lucas Oil. Like I don't even think Lucas Oil was in Indiana until they made the stadium for us.
There's been oil in Indiana.
Well, I know that, but like I don't think that they like were like major players in Indiana. I guess maybe I don't know. I don't know the oil game like that. I don't even like NASCAR or anything. But although I like racing in person, so. I should qualify where I don't like watching races on TV. I like races in person when it's safe to congregate in person.
Yeah.
But I mean, who doesn't like to have a drink and watch cars go really fast, right?
Yeah, I do recall those days.
I don't know nothing about cars though. I think you are retired or active service?
No. I'm no longer active duty. I'm on reserve duty now. And I'm looking very, very positively at retirement after 26 years of service. So.
Well, then let me be able to tell you with my own voice, thank you very much for your service and your sacrifice.
Oh, don't tell me that. Tell my children that. They're the ones who actually really didn't know where their dad was for a few years here and there for combat purposes, and they're
Very
the ones
much
who really
respect.
are the heroes to me.
I understand that.
Based on my conversation with them, they're a big reason why I'm retiring. So they said, "No, Dad, we're kind of done." I'm like, "Okay, settled then. I'm retiring."
Well, I hope you look forward to a relaxing and fulfilling retirement.
Oh, well. When you're in the reserves, you don't draw your retirement until you're in your 60s.
Fair.
So I won't see any of that for a while. I mean, multiple combat deployments. I'm getting older, Some of that's a young man's game now. So,
Much respect.
yeah.
Most of my family on both sides were in the service. Furthest I got was Air Force Reserves. I met with a recruiter. He saw my tattoos. This was during like a 3-year period where they had adjusted the rules that if you had more than 25% of an exposed limb covered, that it was a disqualifier. And my arms and my chest and back, all those tattoos are covered with a t-shirt, so those were fine. But my right lower leg, the entire calf is covered with a half sleeve on a back half of a calf, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my disqualifier. I had too much coverage on an exposed limb. So I could go Army, but I didn't want to go Army. I wanted to go Air Force.
Oh. What were you going to do in the Air Force if you went in?
I didn't really have anything in mind specifically. I just knew that the biggest advantages that I had read online was a fairly adequate tuition reimbursement program. And I just felt like they had more general exposure to some of the more kind of advanced, not advanced, but more technologically driven fields is what my assumption was. So I figured I like tech stuff. Air Force is probably a better bet for me over Navy because I don't like being on the water. And the only animals in the world that terrify me are deep sea creatures. Like, they're huge. They terrify the mess out of me. And so that's why I was like, yeah, let's go for the air instead of the sea. But I didn't get to do either. Which is funny because I have a Starship Troopers mentality for citizenship, where if you don't serve, then you don't really have that right to claim any sort of privileges that those who served did. And I never served, so it's kind of an oxymoron for myself, right?
I would say that citizenship can be service in so many different ways that you can give back if you choose to. Not everybody not everybody qualifies to go into the military, but that doesn't mean you can't give service to the nation.
I 100% agree with that.
So, it's, believe it or not, it's harder to get in the military than it is to get into a 4-year institution. So,
Agreed.
So for a lot of people who think that only the people who can't make it go into the military haven't figured out that it's actually the opposite. But without all that in place, the military certainly does get some ups and benefits for serving, especially if they serve till retirement. But you also take a lot of flack for that too. Like, literally, you might take a shelling,
right?
Or
literally
other not fun things could happen to you. But that's where you make decisions. What do you want to do? How you want to do it? And you certainly don't do it for the pay. You do it for the. You do it for, well, some people do it for the pay, I guess, but But
As I'm a huge history of, or a huge student of history, specifically with war. Wars fascinate me; they absolutely fascinate me. And I used to, especially because my grandfather's on both sides, my grandmother on one side. But I made the mistake one time. I used to be really, really gung ho about asking people about their experience. What was it like over here? What was it like in this time frame? I made the mistake one time of asking the wrong Vietnam veteran what their experience was like overseas. And at this point now, I no longer ask people what their experiences were like. I only tell them that I appreciate their service and their sacrifice.
well,
Because it's stuff that I can never imagine. I can see news reports, but that still is dehumanizing that event even in itself of reporting it as an event that transpired. I respect our servicemen and women to the utmost.
okay.
But in all honesty, as much as I appreciate our conversation, I think I got to help get the little one to bed at this
Oh,
point.
hey man, no worries, no worries. We're glad to have you. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you when you come back.
Thank you for letting me ramble, brother. See you on Discord, man.
All right, take care, man.
You too, bro.
All right, guys. So now that Tommy's stepping away, it's just you and me for the last hour. Let's get this knocked out. I've just mixed dark oak and ash gray to try to do some highlights on the branch or the tree limb that he's turned into a large club, because I want to kind of highlight some of the top edges of the branch and kind of give it an ashy look. So the color, I don't know if you guys can see it very well, is right here, and it's one of the better ways to do this is to mix some of the main color in with the ashy highlight color that you have. And since I already have ash on the stone there, it should be a nice highlight that will pick across the model as I pick across the highlights. Now I'm not doing a dry brush here as much as I'm just doing an across the grain of the woods themselves. This makes sure that the deeper recesses still stay dark and still keep that brownish hue to an extent, but this also ensures that the high points get a slightly lighter tinge than they currently have, which I think creates a much better look across the actual piece. Almost a line highlight, if you will, the way I'm doing it. Actually, in a way it is a line highlight. But because I'm going across the edge perpendicular to the line, it creates kind of a woody gradient that I think works a little better. This is going to be important because I am going to hit it again with a wash here in a little bit. So again, that's about a 50-50 mix of ash gray and oak brown. I really want to make sure there was probably just a hint more brown than gray showing, so that the high points are really where the highlights are. But I didn't want it to look like gray was just brushed on top. And by mixing it together this way, it gives me that ashy look without giving me the look of gray on just brushed on top of wood. But the ash still shows, which is a goal. Boom. You can now see a lot more detail on the wood and a lot more light gradient as well, which really adds to the effect. Perfect. All right, our next up. At this point, he's looking really good. It's time to start working the flesh tones. So just kind of give you a good look of what you got here right now. Give you a look on the mini cam. So you can see. Oh wow! I'm trying to get to focus here. Oops. Get that out of the way. So from here you can see the detail level. Oh wow, it's just really not focusing right now for me. Here, let's just switch it over to this. So from here you can see the detail level is increased considerably. You can see the little markings on the thing on his leg. You can see the patches of cloth are looking a lot like blankets in several places. And the flesh tones are now probably the next step. So I've got two choices here. I can go ahead and layer up with Barbarian Flesh and then hit a flesh wash, or I can hit a flesh wash and then layer up with Barbarian Flesh. So I'm going to try to really figure out what to do next there. And then I got to figure out if I'm going to actually have any of the veins show. And I think for today, we're just going to try to finish the giant. We're not going to try to get the veins done. But I may do a separate, smaller clinical video on how to do the veins on the arms later. So to do this, what I think I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and hit it with the flesh wash, see how it looks, and then from there I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to go with the Barbarian Flesh and highlight from there. I probably will, because it could definitely use a little bit more on the skin itself, but I also want to see what exactly we can get out of a flesh wash on such a large model as well. Oh, you know what though? Before I do that, I should probably get the fingernails and toenails done. Let me do those, because on a model this size they actually have them. So I'm going to do a quick touch up on all these guys. I'm going with kind of a yellowed look on the nails here, mostly because I don't think giants are very clean. Hill giants aren't very clean. At least not in the books. Go. Alright. Now to move on to the flesh wash. And for the flesh wash for this, I'm going to switch off from the Wargamer Regiment brush to the Wargamer Monster brush, which is this larger brush with a much larger brush bristle area. I like it for washing in particular because of its roundness, which lets me both tease it out if I need to. But I'm also going to keep my regimental brush handy to tease out anything I need to, should I need a smaller, more detailed area. I'm only going to use a little bit of my wash at a time on the palette itself because washes do tend to dry more quickly, and I don't want to lose any wash if I don't have to. So I'm going to start in the big broad strokes areas and get the shoulders and the bigger meaty parts. This will also give the nails time to dry while I get the large swaths of flesh washed here. I tend to jam in the recesses and then pull out from there just to get the coverage in. Nature of how I do it, I guess. And then I also pull into recesses as well. So. And this giant has a lot of, I guess you'd say, fat on him. So he is not somebody you have to hold back on in terms of layering in some of that into those crevices, because you're definitely going to be able to do it. So good to have Tommy on today. Oh, hey, Moonrose. How are you? Good to see you. Yes, definitely. I don't know that you missed a lot, but we definitely did a lot. Working on washes now. Well, the flesh tone washes. We'll be doing brown washes on the trousers and the bag on his back and his leggings as well here shortly. So alright, time to pull out a little more flesh wash. These models are just massive. So when you say you're going to wash the model, you're not taking on a small tasking at that point. What are you working on these days, Moonrose? I'd love to hear it. About to start a Dragonborn fighter. Oh, nice. What color Dragonborn are you going to go with? Give me all the details. Next up, doing the legs. Woo! I think we may actually get this done tonight. After I get the legs, I cannot hold this any longer to also wash the rest of it. I have to hold off and give the washes time to dry. That's the only challenge about washes, is they take longer to dry than paint does, but you don't want to waste any of it. It's such a great resource. Alright, so I'm going to give that a chance to dry here. And if you have any questions, Imperial Starship Troopers. Oh, starships for my special computer case. Yeah, you were talking about that, chat. I know that. Probably golden accents. Red Dragonborn with golden accents. Red and gold is good. Red and gold is good. Yeah. Hey guys, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick ad break from our sponsors. If you get a chance, please give us a moment. We're just gonna refill our cups, and from there, we'll be right back. Hey, and we're back. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Hill Giant. We're going to see what we need to do next. And we're going to start wrapping up. So we got about 40 minutes left. 30 minutes left, give or take. Can't wait to get this knocked out. Let's see what we can do next. So, as you can see, the Giant is looking really good right now. Definitely much better than he has in a while. He's now going through the wash stage where he is drying, and we're going to see some impacts of that here shortly. As soon as we get the dry wash, we can look at if we're going to do any more on the flesh wash side. I think we're looking pretty good overall. And we even got the metal rings done on the harness that he's wearing. Well, definitely a proper Hill Giant going on. So I think because now that's still drying around his head too. So I was going to do the hair, but there's still too much drying around that. What I am going to do is I'm going to hit the blue patches with the blue wash since they're on the leathery brown bits. That's not going to impact too much of what we're doing here. So I will just hit that with some blue tone real quick. That'll give me something else to get done while we wait here today. So you're not just sitting here looking at my ugly mug the whole time. Wash that flesh tone right out. Hind quarters here. Done. That was simple. Far more simple than I thought it would be. There we go. So let's see here. Another 30 minutes, and we'll be good to go. I think what we'll do next is we're going to use mid-brown on the hair and soft tone on the netting. Or should we use mid-brown? I think we can use mid-brown on the netting and the bag itself. Actually, we're going to go big. Because this is such a big model and what we're doing here, I'm just going to go ahead and use the vehicle terrain brush from the Army Painter. I'm going to load it up with wash. And I'm just going to brush it across like this. No, not liking that. Don't recommend that step. Too much air. It's creating too many air bubbles. The color I like. The air bubbles are a no-no. Because if you let air bubbles sit and they dry with an air bubble, well, then you get a big round spot in your model. You don't want that either. So instead, I will be doing it much more slowly by hand across each and every one of these. One, to ensure much more even coverage, and two, to ensure no air bubbles remain. Oh, this mid-tone brown is coming on beautifully. Uh-oh. I wonder what happened there. There we go. Huh. Okay. Oh, that's going to be a lot of midtown. I think it's going to take me 20 minutes just to paint the brown spots on this thing. with this brown wash, Midtown Brown. A Red Hulk vibe that you love. Okay, I dig it. I dig it, Matt. Tommy. It probably looks a little more red on screen right now than it will when I get done. But he's definitely going to have a ruddy flesh tone about him. For those of you who noticed, I'm now putting the brown wash on top of the blanket here, or the quilt, or whatever this was. That's because I want it to look as dirty as the bag will be when this gets done. Alrighty. You know, Moonrose, I think you can do a great job on large models. I definitely saw your dragon model not that long ago. I went back and looked at it again not that long ago because it popped up during one of the breaks, and I gotta say it was fantastic. I know that you mentioned that you want to do another larger model to paint. I think that would be fantastic. You should definitely check that out. The many folds of this particular model's trousers or pantaloons or whatever you want to call this front half of his, or these things on his legs, makeshift body that it is a challenge to be sure. Ooh-wee. Getting her done. Oh man. Here we go. Alrighty. So while it's drying, because we're about to wrap up the show today, just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us in chat, being awesome. I will wrap up this one, and you will find this one's paint plan on our Patreon here in the next week or so, along with another paint plan for our Minis and Models painting tier on Patreon. And then you can also expect to see some cool stuff for Dungeon Masters coming up here soon as well. Huge thanks. When you're painting your models, make sure that you clean out your brushes really good at the end, as we discussed with Matt. Yeah. Good night, Moonrose. And we will see you guys again here soon. Here's a check on the Minicam. Really can't see as well as you should, but there it is. Some great looking mini action right there. The lighting is much better at this point. The gradients will come out here as everything dries, and I think you're going to really like what you see here at the end of the day. Pictures will be up tomorrow for Miniatures Monday, and we'll see you guys here next week on That Minis Paint Show. Take care, everybody.